I think one of the cool things about Albion Online is how realistic it is in terms of being able to pick your own lifestyle inside the game. So let's say we compare different things you might do in Albion Online to careers you would have in real life. Now, you could go join a guild, and that's kind of like getting a corporate job. Like if you've ever had a corporate job, okay, you get a salary, you're going to maybe have a better quality of life in a way because you work for this big corporation. But then the downside is you do work for a big corporation, so you don't really have the sort of autonomy and liberty that you would have if you were off on your own doing your own thing. That's how it is with a guild in Albion Online. You join a guild, and then what does that mean? It means if you gather resources, your guild's going to want you to contribute resources to help build up the hideout or whatever it is that they're doing. There's that continual push for you to give your time to whatever the guild is currently doing. So maybe, you would think it's cool to just sign on and hang around and chill and chop trees, but the guild is going to want you to do something specific. So what does it turn into? It turns into, okay, you're sitting in Discord and you're waiting for the guildies to show up and you're waiting for people to gear up, and then you're going out and you're doing a group activity. And it might be really fun if that's what you want to do, but maybe it's not. And that's really the same with a corporate job. Maybe some people love it, but then other people are like, shoot, this is not what I want. I'm not being able to do what I want to do with my life because I'm kind of selling my life, giving my soul to a company that ultimately isn't really going to necessarily help me achieve my personal goals. So maybe a guild isn't what you want to do in Albion Online. And the beauty of it is that's okay, because you could just go out and chop trees if that's what you want to do. And that is itself a play style, to just be off on your own, doing your own thing, gathering stuff, um, and crafting and doing that kind of thing. Now, within the gathering and crafting job, you could choose to be a person who gathers materials and just kind of sells them outright. Or you could be a person who focuses more on um, gathering and then crafting and then selling finished goods like swords or armor or something like that. Or you could be a person who's playing the stock market in the game. You can be buying things low and selling them high, or buying them in one area and selling them in another location for a profit. So you have all of these other unique mechanics like uh, transport logistics, or market flipping, or crafting and refining, or just gathering raw materials and selling them as is. There's so many different play styles even within just a gathering and crafting sort of a play style. There's these kind of I guess a sub play style, a refinement of what you want to do within that type of play. Then you have your ganking. You have you're going to go gear up. You're going to go out there, and then you're going to try to find other players that you can fight, and and that's kind of like I guess you could compare it to like a I don't know, gang violence simulator or something. But really, the way I would look at that is it's kind of like a highly skilled career. You might choose a path where it's all about being able to min max your character. It's about being able to know how to play very well and to be proficient in your skilled craft. And that's kind of in real world terms. I think that's kind of like if you had a professional career where you do something that requires a lot of skill, and not anybody can do it. A lot of people can try and most people will fail. And that's kind of how it is. If you go out into, the black zone, and you're just out to make your way in the world by ganking and killing other players and things like that. um, you certainly could, but it's not as easy as it sounds. You're going to have to balance your personal economy in a different way. You're going to have to learn how to play competitively with other people. You're going to have to learn how to evade the battles you can't win and identify the opportunities which you can win. There's definitely a level of skill and intensity to being a successful ganker that makes bank. So that's kind of like, it's kind of like being a professional in a job. It's not that you're working for a corporation. It's not that you're not just being entrepreneur. You're using a skill that you have to continually hone and build on. And maybe that's like the person who's the a coder, or a architect, or something where you kind of have to have a level of skill that you build up. You can't just go out and do it. And well, what else? We got, you got your group ganks. You got like people that all get together, and it is probably a guild activity, or it's just a bunch of friends that go out and and kind of gang up on people in a posse. And again, that goes back to, I guess you could join some sort of a group, and you could go into the military, or you could join a gang or something. But then there's also the downsides to those sorts of organizations, to where they will limit what you're able to do. Um, there's competition, and in arenas and things like that in Albion Online. There's really just so many different things you can do, which are sort of analogous of life. And there isn't really a right or a wrong way to play. You could play Albion in the safe zones and never really go to the dangerous areas and have fun doing that. You could play in a group. You could play solo. You can be a crafter. You can be a seller. You can just be a trader. You can play PvE, or you can play PvP, or you can just not really um, play against anything. Just be out there gathering and exploring the world, and messing around with people in the global chat, watching the crazy things that they will say. There's so many different things, and people will say, well, this or that play style is boring. And what I would say to them is, the entire game is boring. If you're looking for something exciting, if you're looking for an adrenaline pumping game that's going to give you, a quick thrill, like, I don't know that MMOs are really the game you should be trying to play. Because MMOs are designed to be grind fests. They're designed to be that game where you log on every day and you do something. And it's boring, but it also gives you a sense that you're part of something, right? So it's kind of ridiculous to say you shouldn't choose a certain play style in an MMO because that play style is boring. I think every play style in an MMO is probably boring. That doesn't mean it's not a good play style. And the reason why I enjoy the boring play style is because it empowers me to do other things. Like, I can listen to that YouTube video on the side. I can turn on the game and just play a little bit and then tune out and log off. It's nice because it's not intensive. It's not imposing on me in any way. So I guess that's the other side of it, just what do you do while you play Albion Online, or really any other game you're doing? Because if you're listening to a podcast, or you're listening to a YouTube video, or you're watching a movie on the side, or you're doing something else that's interesting to you, then the degree to which anything you're doing in the game is boring is kind of a moot point, because it's giving you an opportunity to do something fun and cool while you're doing something else. I mean, I've played Albion Online sometimes when I'm actually, out walking around in in the neighborhood or something. So like there's no shortage of things you can do um, with Albion Online. You can play it. You can play it while you're out hanging around in you know in between errands or something in real life, or you could sit down and play it on the PC and make it a little bit more of an immersive experience. And you can easily toggle between those sorts of activities as well by being you know maybe you do some of the more like PvP and stuff at your desktop computer, and you do your chill gathering on your cell phone while you're walking the dog. It's pretty cool though that you have so many different options in Albion Online, both in terms of how you can access the game and also just in terms of what your career in the game is going to look like. And they all wind up being very different, but also quite viable. And I guess I didn't mention that you can also have your island and just grow crops and animals too, if that's your thing. You could hypothetically, I guess you could just log in and hang around on your island and never actually even go into the game world if that was what you wanted to do, assuming you have premium. Anyway, definitely would recommend Albion Online to anybody who's looking for something that's a great mix between realistic and chill. And I do think that I think the hardcore community does the game wrong, because it's a really chill, casual game if you want it to be. And there's a lot of people that want to pretend that it's some sort of a badass hardcore experience, and it really isn't. It is to whatever degree you want it to be. But that's true with all games. So for casuals, there is no shortage of things to do. So definitely worth a try. It's also one of the most friendly in terms of being free to play too. Like, it really is free to play. I mean, if you're going to put tons of hours into the game, you probably are going to want to pay for premium. I don't know why you wouldn't if you have the cash. But in terms of having to, absolutely not. You certainly can play the game without ever putting a dime into it. And I think that's cool. Anyway, till next time, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.